World events helped shape the year 1991 at Purdue. The year began with Desert Storm, in which the United States led the way in ousting Iraq from Kuwait. The American troops included more than 100 Purdue students and staff. Like the nation at large, most on the Purdue campus supported the Gulf War. Though some held vigils for peace and protested against the war.
Would you like to read one of these? Thank you very much.
This military flyover at the first home football game in September helped highlight tribute to the Troops Day. Local troops involved in the war paraded to Ross-Ade Stadium. Each unit was introduced, and a Humvee military vehicle brought in the game ball. The troops were also honored by a special halftime performance by the marching band. The collapse of communism and the breakup of the Soviet Union increased already existing problems with food production and distribution. In an attempt to offer advice and assistance, 8 agricultural experts from Purdue traveled to Russia and Ukraine in September. In May, a group of Purdue exchange students studying in Hamburg, Germany, toured cities in the former East Germany. In Eisenach, they marveled at the historic Wartburg Castle and listened to a harpsichord once owned by Johann Sebastian Bach. Each year, more than 100 Purdue students spend 1 or 2 semesters studying in other countries, including England, France, Spain, the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, and Germany.
The program has exceeded my expectations. I study with students from around the world, and I've learned about different religions, different cultures, and it's made me a much better person.
In the United States, you take a lot of things for granted, and here you learn to appreciate things that you took for granted at home, but you also learn that there's another way of living.
I really wanted to come to Germany to actually see parts in Germany where history has actually taken place, to really get a good feel of the history.
Purdue professors also take advantage of opportunities to teach in other countries. Sociology professor Harvey Marshall spent a year teaching at the University of Hamburg.
It's certainly been a tremendous growth experience for me. Of course, I was excited about the possibility of teaching in German university, working with German students, and it's been a very exciting year.
Professors were also busy teaching in West Lafayette and at Purdue's 4 regional campuses, as a record number of students became Boilermakers. The West Lafayette enrollment topped 36,000 for the first time, while system-wide enrollment approached 60,000. The campus building boom continued in West Lafayette. A $36 million state-of-the-art residence hall began to take shape on the west end of the campus. It will replace the old Fowler Courts and Terry Courts. About 800 students will be able to move in for the fall of 1993. Workmen also made steady progress on a new classroom office building, which will house the School of Education and some areas of liberal arts when it's completed in 1993. In anticipation of the new quarters, that will put the entire School of Education under one roof for the first time, Marilyn Herring was hired as the new Dean of Education. Building dedications this year included the new Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory, which serves the state's livestock industry, as well as being a teaching facility, and 2 new electronic message boards to keep students, staff, and community informed about upcoming events. The message boards, located near Stewart Center and Mackey Arena, were donated by the class of 1941. A plaque commemorating the GI Bill was also dedicated inside the class of 1950 lecture hall, since a majority of that class used GI Bill benefits to attend Purdue. A $45,000 restoration project allowed an old friend to return to campus in the fall. A portion of the stately gateway that stood at the entrance to the Purdue campus from the turn of the century to the mid-1950s was installed at the east end of Willow Walk. The restoration was supported by descendants of the class of 1897 and by the class of 1936. Building of another kind got underway in November with the launching of Vision 21, the largest fundraising campaign in the history of Purdue. The President's Council banquet featured a space theme for the $250 million campaign, which is being led by 2 astronaut alumni, Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, and Gene Cernan, the last man on the lunar surface.
There will be a competition to a greater extent between educating institutions, and certainly this university is going to be counted among the best.
Vision 21, I think, will enable Purdue to become even a broader world-class university than it is today. But more important, be in a position to allow the youth, the young men and the young women of tomorrow who face the leadership challenges and opportunities that this world is going to be confronted with, that they are equipped properly with the right education, and more important, I think, with the inspiration and the motivation and the willingness to take a risk and make the commitment that is going to be necessary as this world continues to change.
The 5-year campaign is off to a strong start with half the goal already exceeded. As campaign vice chairman, alumni Jim Dora of Indianapolis and Richard Hansen of Batavia, Illinois, head up a 31-member campaign cabinet. Funds from the campaign will be focused on people rather than buildings and will help Purdue gain a margin of excellence for the 21st century. The 4 areas of emphasis for the campaign are faculty initiatives, student scholarships and fellowships, research and public service, and information access. Total private giving to Purdue was up 18% from the year before, setting a record for the university and outpacing the national trend. Private gifts totaled more than $32.5 million. Funding from the state was also an important issue this past year. Purdue joined the 6 other state-assisted colleges and universities in Indiana to promote a commitment to quality effort aimed at increasing the level of state support for higher education. So far, the campaign has been hampered by the recession, which has forced campus budget tightening. Mother Nature showed its power and beauty when it threw an ice storm at the Lafayette area in early March. While power on campus was not affected, much of the rest of the Lafayette community was paralyzed for many days. Purdue opened its doors to help residents who lost heat or electricity. Other winter happenings included a talk by former President Jimmy Carter as part of the Distinguished Lecture Series.
I've always felt that it was necessary to resolve the Palestinian issue in order to preserve the integrity, the recognition, the peace of Israel. It's a two-edged sword that I think has to be addressed as a singular issue.
33 high school jazz ensembles took part in the first Purdue Jazz Festival at the Memorial Union. The Ag Alumni Fish Fry offered its usual hilarious look at farming and politics in the state.
Yeah, toast.
And Purdue won its 3rd championship in as many competitions in the National Rube Goldberg Machine Contest, which this year required at least 25 steps to toast a slice of bread.
Take a piece of bread and put it in the slot. Push down the lever and the wires get hot. It's toast!
Oh, yes. Score.
Yeah, toast!
Come on.
Yeah, toast!
Get on there.
Yes! Yes!
2 other student competitions also combined fun and learning. Engineering students came up with 24 different bridge designs for the 10th annual Bridge Bust contest. Each of the wooden models was tested for load strength.
All right, ready? The races are on the course.
Bug Bowl 1991 featured entomology students racing cockroaches with names like Steam Pipe Pete and Flame Disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, students got their hands dirty as well as nearly every other part of their bodies as they celebrated the return of spring with mud volleyball. Another springtime event pitted students against video games as part of a Nintendo competition on Memorial Mall. And the growing popularity of aerobics was confirmed in the fall when students gathered to exercise to music across from the co-rec. Nearly 700 students took part to establish a new Big Ten workout record that was previously held by IU. The class of 1939 water sculpture continued to be a popular place to gather. In fact, one couple chose to hold their wedding there in June, and the marching band performed there after home football games. The Glee Club also entertained at the fountain following one game. In addition to post-game concerts at the Fountain, the marching band played before the games at Slater Center and marched at the stadium during pregame at halftime. The band welcomed its first female drum major, Ann Woods from Fort Wayne, and a new girl in black, Alicia Bain from Oxford, Indiana. The Boilermaker football team showed improvement under first-year head coach Jim Coletto. The team finished the season with 4 wins and 7 losses. The victories included an impressive performance over Michigan State and a homecoming win against Wisconsin. Homecoming featured the 25th anniversary reunion of the team that won the 1967 Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl team was honored during a pregame ceremony and later that night at the alumni homecoming banquet.
And we had a chemistry before you read the word chemistry, and it's now become a word, I guess, that everybody's trying to say that a team has chemistry. We had it. But most importantly, we had pride.
Sherry Baker, an engineering and science major from Hamilton, Ohio, was crowned 1991 homecoming queen. Other homecoming activities included a 25th anniversary celebration by Harrison Hall, traditional homecoming decorations around campus, lunchtime gatherings of alumni such as these from the School of Pharmacy and Pharmacal Sciences, and the presentation of an Engineering Astronaut Alumnus Award to Gregory Harbaugh, who spoke to an aeronautical engineering class about his shuttle flight. During basketball season, the women's team under the direction of fourth-year coach Lynn Dunn captured its first Big Ten championship with a 17-1 conference record. Senior Joy Holmes became the first Lady Boiler to be named to the All-American basketball team. The women dropped their second-round NCAA tournament game against Vanderbilt, but finished the season ranked 5th nationally. Meanwhile, the men's team under coach Gene Cady posted a 17-12 record, which was good enough to advance to the NCAA tournament. Purdue lost to Temple in the first round. During the summer, Cady coached the American team to a bronze medal in the Pan American Games. The Purdue wrestling team had an outstanding season this year. The team under coach Mitch Hull finished 7th nationally. 3 Boiler grapplers earned All-American honors. Senior Dave Walter in the 158-pound class, Senior Matt Lindley in the heavyweight class, and Junior Charles Jones at 167 pounds. Purdue faculty wrestled with a multitude of research problems and came out on top. Agricultural researchers worked on developing ways to grow food for long-term space missions. Food and Nutrition Department head Connie Weaver studied calcium absorption in teenage girls who came to campus for a special Camp Calcium. Researchers in mechanical engineering found that through a process called active noise control, some types of noise can be used to cancel out other types of noise that are more annoying. Purdue students took advantage of new ways to learn, such as through the partnership between IBM and the School of Technology that allows all the technology manufacturing labs to be interconnected.
4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12.
Nursing students learned how to perform CPR with the help of a high-tech dummy that gives a computerized readout of the student's performance. Manufacturing management students got hands-on experience through internships at manufacturing facilities. Spring returned to campus with a splash when the fountain was switched on after its winter hiatus. The musical tradition of You Sing on Mother's Weekend again attracted large crowds. And alumni returned in April for the annual Gala Weekend and Grand Prix. 2 special Gala Weekend events this year included the traditional Ag Alumni Breakfast and a ceremony to name the nursing building to honor the former head of the school, Helen Johnson. Members of alumni classes going back as far as 1916 picked up banners as they renewed old acquaintances and prepared for the traditional march to John Purdue's grave. The 2 alumni from the class of 1916, Marguerite McKinley from Arlington, Virginia, and Ozark Palin from Crawfordsville, Indiana, were elated to see each other after so many years, especially since they'd been roommates while at Purdue. Members of Purdue bands led the group to the gravesite on Memorial Mall, where alumni watched the wreath-laying ceremony and saw ROTC members deliver a 21-gun salute. A scoring error caused confusion about who won this year's Grand Prix go-kart race, but when the smoke cleared, Doug Hodgson of Lebanon, Indiana, was declared the second two-time winner of the greatest spectacle in college racing. Before the controversy was cleared up, Grand Marshal Marilyn Quayle, who graduated from Purdue in 1971, congratulated initial winner John Hack of Lafayette. Gala weekend was capped off by the Founders Day banquet. Purdue President Stephen Beering brought alumni up to date on the state of the university.
And while we will always continue to do those things for which Purdue has justly become famed in engineering and science, in agriculture and so on, we have added this new dimension to be outer-directed and to be focused on the entire globe. The U.S. Black Engineer magazine gave us their top award for being among the outstanding schools in fostering minority engineers. We're number one in the country in that business. We also continue to be number one in educating women engineers. Business Week selected Krannert as the best, number one in the country for manufacturing management. It's getting almost routine around here to be in the top half dozen of whatever barometer that you would like to apply to academic excellence. But it's important that you know it, because on that reputation built by our graduates and our faculty rests our ability to be economically competitive for the next generation of students and for the awards and research upon which our production of new knowledge depends. And so I would submit to you that America and Purdue was the promise when you graduated. The world and Purdue is the promise today in the 90s. And space and Purdue, the new frontier, will be the promise in the years to come, and we shall be there.
The Varsity Glee Club provided its own special brand of entertainment. This was just one of many performances throughout the year by Purdue musical organizations that delighted audiences both on and off campus. The most memorable for many was the annual Christmas show, which featured all of the PMO groups for 6 nearly sold-out performances in the Hall of Music. The Purdue Alumni Association welcomed more than 10,000 new graduates in 1991 from 7 ceremonies on the West Lafayette campus and 4 at the regional campuses. Much like the commencement exercise you attended, today's ceremonies include a grand processional that leads up the stairs of Hovde Hall. Once inside the Hall of Music, graduates take part in a ritual that blends the dignity of tradition with the excitement of achievement to create a truly memorable event.
On behalf of the trustees, the faculty, the administration, and the staff of Purdue University, it is my happy privilege to congratulate each of you on your remarkable accomplishments and to wish you the very best of continued success.
The close of 1991 saw Purdue poised to capture a vision of excellence in the 21st century, proud of the past and excited about the challenges of the future.
Come along, let us join in a song. Hail to old Purdue. On the Wabash she stands with her welcoming hands as an alma mater. she's our own Hoosier pride. Ever we loyal will be. So we'll sing it out and we'll raise a shout for our university. Then hail all hail to all.